Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
We're so thrilled to have on contemporary Christian artist. He's an incredible songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and also an author. Crowder is joining the show. Crowder, it's good to have you on.
Thank you so much for including me. This is great.
You know, I felt like you were everywhere in the past year or so. And I know, I'm sure you've had people say, wow, Crowder, this is like instant success. You've been doing this solo gig since 2012 after you shut down your David Crowder band, right?
Yes. Now it's all my fault. There was safety in numbers previously, but now there's nobody to blame. And so you get all the credit, take all the blame. That's what it boils down to. I figured that out really quickly.
Well, it's so great hearing your music and everything, and obviously all the sold out shows you've been doing. But I found it interesting that, in 2021, you had your Milk and Honey album. And then last year it was the Milk and Cookies.
Well, it was too easy. That was just like, that was low hanging fruit right there, man. We had the full length album Milk and Honey come out. And then I was headed to the Christmas season, and the title, I mean, it was hanging there. So, I remember though, I told my mom, I was like, I'm doing a Christmas album, which made her incredibly happy. Mm-hmm. And she's like, what are you gonna call it? I said, it's gonna be Milk and Cookies. She's like, that's not a real title. You can't do that. That doesn't sound serious. So not until it was like in print and officially in her hands did she believe I was for real on that title. I'm like, Mom, that's too easy. And she loves the album. Thinking I had probably more fun than I've ever had making music doing that Christmas album, man. It was a blast. We had so much fun.
It was so good. The music was so good. And I know you did that tour on it this last year also. And now you've got this huge tour to where you and Toby Mac are sharing the stage also. So you got to be pretty excited on that.
Dude, the guy is a legend. And we went out last year. So we did Hits Deep to kick off last year. And normally it's, he does this tour every year and he's always cycling through people. And I just begged him. I'm like, bro, that was too much fun. Let me go again. Let's do it again. It's like when you get off the ride at Six Flags or whatever, you're like, let's go again, Mom. And luckily he said yes. So I can't wait. They say don't meet your heroes. He's as good as they come. I love that guy. And then his whole crew, the band, we just hit it off. Feels like camp got over and we get to go back again this year. It's too fun.
Well, and I brought this up to you before we started the interview, but it seemed like in this past year, between being on magazines and all of these, great press and everything, you've sort of become a fashionista, in your full white suits and everything that you wore last year. So, are you going to reprise those this year, or is there going to be a new fashion style for Crowder?
I learned early on, I just wear what I'm told. My wife, you know what I'm saying? She told someone, said, put this on. And that's what I do. It makes it super easy around the house. And so we'll see what she has in store for this 2023 thing. I can't wait to find out myself.
She is a fashion designer, right?
She does. She got her hands on a lot of stuff. Her favorite thing, she kind of like architectural interior design. Yeah. But she's dabbling in all manner of stuff, graphic stuff and furniture and anything she can put her 2 cents to. She's doing it. She's one of us is good at their job, and it's her. I'm just tagging along with my little hobby over here.
Well, I think the hobby is going pretty well, considering coming out of Texarkana, Texas, and now based out of Cabbagetown. And it seems to me on it, Crowder, it's like your music has continued to evolve, but also, with the move to Atlanta, Georgia, you've embraced so many other styles of music also, to where it's like, it's tough to put you in a niche. Obviously you've been thrown into the contemporary Christian niche, but your music kind of defies that, kind of like Toby Mac.
That's well said. I love getting to do what I'm doing, and I call it simply, I'm just making church music. That makes it real simple. As long as I keep saying church music sounds like a lot of stuff,
Right.
It has for, the history of the church is music's been a part of what happens when people get together, and when you get together and face among us, we want to sing about it. And that's pretty much all I'm doing. But what's happened in the recent years, it looks like the Appalachians have exploded on stage. But as you said, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, so that 808 kick drum sitting right up against that banjo. It's still porch music, but it's got a little urban to it. I call it sweet tea and gasoline is what you're getting into. So it's a little bit aggressive at times, but we're having a good time. We love having a good time and making music together. Got some good friends that we're doing this with, and and I'm having the best time I've ever had. So we're having a good time over here.
Well, and it seems like also, Crowder, to where, bringing in those other instruments, as you mentioned, with the fiddle and with the banjo and everything, you're bringing in more audience also. And I know early on, your music was called folktronica.
That was when I was heavy into that EDM scene, man. And I thought, could a banjo sit in some club, sounds and
Right.
some electronic bips and bleeps, and we moved on. As I said, that was right when I first started this Crowder endeavor.
Right.
And as I've said around in Atlanta, I think the music comes from where your roots are planted. And there's something in the soil here in Atlanta, Georgia, still got that Southern thing, but it's so diverse, dude. And I think the reflection of the city you can hear in the music. And I'm, as I said, having the best. It's like that song from Sound of Music. A few of my favorite things, they're just all piled in one spot at the same time. It's a lot to take.
Well, and I think on your last few albums too, it's like I really hear your past influences. I think all of us, through those years, as you always joke about, in other interviews, growing up through the 80s and 90s and all that kind of stuff, we kind of, all of those are part of our musical library. And it seems like what you've really done in the past few years is meld those in to your own Crowder style. And plus, I'm now considering going only with my last name like you, because it seems like it's working really well. You're like the contemporary Christian Prince, just called Crowder now,
Well, if I can get me down to just one symbol, would be fine. I just know people have a lot on their plate, and so it just saves time to shorten the syllables. Not just the two. So you're fine. But I love it. I love getting to do what I'm doing, like I said. And when you're doing what you love, man, life's good.
Well, and then with this big tour going on this year, and obviously you're going to be coming into Nashville, playing Bridgestone Arena. You already sold out Ryman last year. You've been selling out all of the tours and everything you've been doing, Crowder. And you're coming here on Sunday, February 19th. Are you digging out any new instruments? Are you trying out any new stuff? Maybe some new songs this year?
Well, I tell you, people, when they come see the show, they're like, my goodness, you got something new in your hand every song. I do. And it's up to my guitar. My guitar tech keeps bringing stuff, and what am I supposed to do other than give a stab at it? So there's no telling, man. And the problem with my guitar tech, he's been around with me forever. He keeps sending me links. As you know, being a musician, he keeps sending me these reverb links. It's like basically eBay for musicians. It's a terrible thing. It's like it's a sickness. And sure enough, half of the time he sends them, I'm clicking on it. Yep, we got to have that, So there's no tell. I can't remember what I've clicked last. And I usually find out on stage after he's got it set up, and he tosses it to me, and I'm like, okay, we'll give this a stab. So it's always a treat for me too to find out what's new out with us on tour.
Well, and it's going to be tough to beat out, Milk and Cookies, and also pleasing your mother, this past year. I'm sure you're already working on some new tunes and some new music, probably back in studio also, right?
You're exactly right. It's that time. We had Milk and Honey come out, and I've been sitting on it for a bit. Now we got to get on with some stuff. So while we're out on the tour, I love the rhythm of things on the road, and so a lot of writing happens when I'm out, and then when we get that break, when the bus pulls into home, that's usually when we hit the ground running. So I'm excited about the writing season that's coming up as well, while we're out on this road thing.
Well, I'll tell you what, we can't wait to see you live on tour, to see the multiple new instruments you're going to have, to see what your wife has set up for you in your fashion clothing.
That's it.
I want to make sure for our viewers, where's the best place for them to go? Because, you're going to be going to all over the country, for the tour, for new music, for clothing designs, everything you're going to have. Where should they visit?
I love it. I love that we're talking clothing. This is wonderful. Hit up the normal socials. We're Crowder Music. If Crowder doesn't bring it up, I know we're Crowder on Instagram and so forth, but Facebook and so forth. Just Crowder Music is where you'll find everything. CrowderMusic.com. You can get those tickets right there, as well as see the schedule of what's coming, and we can't wait, man. That is the Nashville thing. I'm just south of you, but boy, it feels like home. We're up there so much, so I can't wait to be there and get to see a lot of friends and family up there as well.
Well, I got the feeling you may have some interesting guests throughout this tour also, jumping up there on stage with you and Toby Mac on this, Crowder.
And being around Nashville doesn't hurt when all your friends are there anyway, So you guys get all the good stuff up that way.
just like we get you and Toby Mac, and we're thrilled to catch up with you, Crowder. Love the music and everything you're doing, and this is going to be an amazing tour. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Man, thank you for having me. I appreciate you including me, and like I said, I can't wait to get up that way.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.